The Super Fours are set to resume on September 9th in Colombo, and Sri Lanka versus Bangladesh will kick off the Colombo leg. Now, we all know and has been repeated ad nauseum that there is a threat of rain, and one has very, very slim hopes of the match happening tomorrow, because remember, from 9th till 16th, the weather is absolutely bad in Colombo. And remember, if this game gets washed out, there is no reserve day for Sri Lanka and Bangladesh. You will pity that, okay, Sri Lanka and Bangladesh, what they have done to ensure that they will be in this position? Simple fact, they are the lesser of the teams when it comes to eyeballs, and that's why no one will want to watch a reserve day of a Sri Lanka-Bangladesh, but everybody will gleefully lap up an India versus Pakistan reserve day. That is what the ACC's clear priorities are. But if the cricket takes place and Sri Lanka manage to beat Bangladesh, then Sri Lanka will be on the cusp of a very special record, and it is a record that no Asian nation has ever achieved in their history. So what is the record that Sri Lanka are staring at if the game in Colombo goes on tomorrow and there is no rain? So if Sri Lanka beat Bangladesh, then it will be their 13th straight ODI win. Yes, from June 2023 onwards till now, Sri Lanka have been on an epic winning streak. And if they achieve the win, the 13th win, it will be the second longest streak in ODI history. Only two other nations have had 12 match ODI winning streaks. South Africa, twice remarkably, and Pakistan. Now remember, Pakistan in a way, they have been in one of the best Asian nations for some time. But if Sri Lanka win tomorrow, then they can ensure that they go on to win something remarkable in that time. So you all would be knowing, when did the Sri Lanka winning streak began? It started with the series against Afghanistan in June 2023. You would remember that that two-match series was the start of a remarkable streak for them. 2 matches, it was preparation for the ICC ODI World Cup qualifiers in Zimbabwe. They went through the World Cup qualifiers undefeated. And because of that, they have won 2 games of the Asia Cup, one against Bangladesh, another against Afghanistan. The Afghanistan game almost could have ended their streak, but remember, 2 runs, they just about held on, and thus the streak is very much alive. Now, if you want to know like who has the longest streak, I mean, I'll exclude Pakistan in this because Pakistan have a brilliant streak in themselves, which I will dedicate a separate video later. If Sri Lanka manage to do it, then they will overhaul South Africa. Now remember, South Africa are a team that have done 2 streaks of 12 consecutive games. And if you look at it, their first winning streak came from February to October of 2005. And in that period, they whitewashed the West Indies, they whitewashed New Zealand and beat Zimbabwe and England. That was in a tri-series that was held. But remember, beating Zimbabwe and England also, it was a remarkable achievement for them, because England had actually beaten South Africa in the Test series, and in the ODIs, they were also undone by Kevin Peterson's brilliance, but South Africa held on. Zimbabwe also just were blown away. So that was the first winning streak that South Africa had, 12. But the second streak was equally remarkable, because South Africa had yet another streak, 12 matches from February to October, and in that period they whitewashed Australia 5-0 in 2016, the first time ever that this had happened. Australia had suffered a 5-0 whitewash for the first time in their history in 2016, and it came in the hands of South Africa. Then Sri Lanka were also hammered 5-0 by South Africa. So that 2016 year was a golden period in South Africa. They had beaten all the opponents that had come here, and because of that, they could have extended the streak had they not lost to New Zealand. But we all know, who has the longest streak in the history of ODI cricket? It had to be Australia. From Jan to May of 2003, the Australians had painted the entire cricketing world yellow, because it began when they won the tri-series in Australia. Remember, that was a tri-series that involved England and Sri Lanka. They had lost to Sri Lanka thanks to Sanath Jayasuriya's brilliance in Sydney, but then they bounced back and they won all the games. And you know what happened in the 2003 World Cup. All the games they went through unbeaten. Only in some games they were pushed. Australia, England, Australia, Sri Lanka in the semi-final. That was the only games where they were really troubled. And then they won 4 games against the West Indies in the 7-match ODI series. Then they lost 3 on the trot. So, Australia hold the streak for the longest in ODIs with 21, and it doesn't look like any other nation can come close because the competition has really closed up, and winning streaks at this time, it is a big feat in itself. Sri Lanka have managed it, but there will be critics who have stated that they have not played the bigger opponents like India, like Pakistan, like Australia, like South Africa. They haven't played them on a regular basis. Well, it's not Sri Lanka's fault that they couldn't play against them frequently because the top 3, they want to play amongst themselves. So you cannot help it that they were excluded from it. You would all be asking, what is India's winning streak? It's 9. 2017, they had a long winning streak of 9 ODIs, which got ended by Australia. Even in 2008 and 9, they had won 9 consecutive ODIs in MS Dhoni's era. So, Sri Lanka, if they achieve a 13, it won't be unlucky for them. It will be a record that no Asian nation has ever done it. If they do that, they will overhaul Pakistan's tally of 12 because only South Africa and Pakistan have won 12 consecutive ODIs. Australia have won 21. No one else has even come close. West Indies, of course, in the 90s, they came close. But then it has always been Australia, South Africa and Pakistan in that order. 12 plus, that is the thing. Sri Lanka, if they beat Bangladesh, they will go through on 13, the second best streak in ODI history. Thank you so much, folks, for joining us for this live. We'll be back with more updates on sports today. Tag that bell icon so when you go live, and don't forget, we're on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram as well. Thank you.